Hello everyone, welcome back to the video on my channel. So I'm going to read chapter 6 of this book, Soccer Duel by Matt Christopher. I read the first 5 chapters so far, so I'm going to go up to chapter 6. I'm going to start reading chapter 6 now, so yeah, let's continue. Okay, chapter 6 on page 34. Bryce stood on the sidelines at the end of the game. He should have been celebrating, but instead he was feeling confused and a little hurt. He'd scored 6 goals! 6 goals! And Coach Harrelson had barely even congratulated him. "Nice job, son," he told Bryce. "You're gonna be a good one." What did he mean, gonna be? Bryce wondered. What was he right now? Chopped liver? 6 goals! The second game had started with barely a minute's break because the whole day had been thrown behind schedule. Bryce noticed that Coach Harrelson had stayed to watch it. Bryce saw a soccer ball lying there and felt the urge to smash it 100 yards down the field, but he restrained himself. Coach Harrelson had probably just gone easy on the compliments. He probably hadn't wanted Bryce to get his swelled head. Okay, he could handle that. Bryce glanced at Coach Harrelson. The JV coach was staring at someone on the field. Bryce followed his gaze downfield where Rennie was dribbling the ball into the Red Scorpion zone. Rennie was covered by 3 men. Bryce smiled humorously. The Scorpions must have heard about Rennie's last game. Try and score now, Shrimp, Bryce muttered softly. At the last minute, though, Rennie deked right, drawing defenders off balance, then passed a perfect threat of the needle to his open left winger, John Singelman. Singelman shot home the goal. Bryce grimaced. Now that's a selfish play. Hey, McMaster, who is that kid at center striker? Bryce's gaze snapped back to Coach Harrelson. Rennie Harding, the Blue Hornets coach replied. Rennie Harding, the Blue Hornets coach replied. New in town this year. He's subbing for Isaac Mendes. The kid with the ankle? Too bad about that. I want to get a look at him, but this kid's pretty good. I like the way he found that open man. Bryce could practically feel the steam coming out of his ears. That stupid kid Rennie again, stealing all the attention away from where it rightfully belonged. How many goals had Rennie scored this season anyway? Nowhere near his own total, that was for sure. As if he'd read Bryce's mind, Rennie scored his first goal of the game moments later. It came off a give-and-go play in which Rennie passed off to John Singelman, then immediately rushed forward. The winger quickly kicked the ball back into Rennie's path, and Rennie faked the goalie out before guiding the ball home. What a lucky shot, Bryce growled, his voice drowned out by the roar from the Hornets sideline. He barely got anything on it. Yes, said a voice next to him, but it still counts. Sometimes brute force isn't the best way to get what you want. Bryce turned to see who had spoken and saw Norm Harvey staring up at him with a huge grin. Bryce wanted to say something nasty to him, but Coach Harrelson was standing right there. Shut up, Bryce mouthed silently. What? Can't hear you, Norm said innocently. And he's not a hot dog like that other kid in the first game, Bryce heard Coach Harrelson say. The words hit Bryce like a punch to the gut. Stung in every fiber of his being, he stormed off, promising himself that he would get even with Rennie Harding and his geeky friend Norm too, if that was the last thing he ever did. Bryce stared at page 256 of his math textbook. He stared and stared. He hadn't done a problem for several minutes. He just sat there thinking about the same horrible moment over and over again. Hearing Coach Harrelson's voice as he said, not a hot dog like the other kid, meaning him, Bryce. His high school soccer career had ended right there. All his dreams right up in smoke. All because of that stupid Rennie Harding. Since he was 3 years old, Bryce had impressed everyone with his athletic skills. He was good at everything he tried, but at soccer he was in a class by himself. It had always been that way, till now. It hadn't occurred to Bryce that someday he might not be the best anymore. That all the attention he'd always gotten might end up going to someone else. Now it was Rennie Harding who would be the new high school soccer sensation. Bryce would be nothing, a substitute, a lowly second-string scrub. His eyes came back into focus at the sound of his mother's voice. Bryce, she called from upstairs, it's 9:30. How about getting up to bed, huh? Soon, Bryce heard himself say. He forced himself to concentrate on his homework until he'd finished it. Then he went up to bed and laid there in the dark, picturing that same moment over and over and over again. There had to be a way out of this nightmare, a way to make sure he would still be the best. At lunch period the next day, Bryce sat down next to Turk Walters. Hey, Turk, he said, I've been looking all over for you. I'm not too hard to find, Turk said. It was the truth, all right. He was at least 6'2" with the build of a wrestler and bright red hair. He played defense for the Orange Crush. Turk wasn't exactly Sir Speedy, but he was big and aggressive, and a scary force on the soccer field, which was exactly why Bryce had sought him out. I want to talk to you about something. I'm listening. Turk stuffed half a tuna salad sandwich into his mouth. He started chewing, and the bulge in his cheeks was so big it was hard for Bryce to concentrate. Turk said, motioning for Bryce to go ahead. You know how you guys are playing the Blue Horns this Sunday? Turk nodded yes. You know that kid Rennie Harding was filling in for Isaac Mendes at center striker? Turk said, giving a what about him motion. I just wanted to clue you in about him, because I know you guys, if you guys beat them, you go to the playoffs. Go to the playoffs instead of them. And you know that I want you and me to meet for the trophy, man. Turk's eyes bugged excitedly and he gave a vigorous nod. He said. Okay, so this kid Rennie, I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's a little runty kid, about this high and kind of skinny. You could whip him in 2 seconds. Turk laughed, losing a crumb or two of his sandwich, and nodded again. He finally swallowed his food and wiped his mouth on the sleeve. Or I could just sit on him, he said, chuckling again and sending a spit shower into the air. Bryce wiped off his face with a napkin and tried to forget what he was wiping. The thing is, he's a wimp, you know, he told Turk. If you foul him hard a couple of times right at the start, he'll get all shook up. You scare him, he's meat. Got it? Oh, I got it. All right, Turk said, slapping Bryce 5. I'm going to send him into intensive care. That kid is toast. Come down on Sunday and watch me whip him. Bryce smiled, getting up. I wouldn't miss it for anything, he said. See you there, and see you in the playoffs. He let Turk sitting with the rest of his lunch. Good. He'd done what he could. He planted the seed. Now it was up to Turk Walters to do an orange crush on Rennie Harding. Okay, so that's chapter 6 of Soccer Duel by Matt Christopher. Take care, everybody. Another video from my Storytime channel.